Your work straddles a kind of uneasy line between what's described as classically socially responsible design, building for poorer communities, and those whom the state has more or less abandoned. And I guess you might call it high-end design. And one of the first thoughts I saw when I saw the Iwan Barn photographs of Makoko was, had it been photoshopped? And it was about as unlikely a structure to be found in Lagos as I'd ever seen. Do you think that's an accurate, or is it a fair comment?
It's probably a fair comment. I think the gap is so wide, and that we have there's so much work to do to bridge that gap that injecting architecture not just from a point of design but a point of value, something that really meets the needs of an environment, that learns from the environment, but also reconstitutes the form in a way that increases the value to that environment is essential as a starting point. So we work on both ends. We work with the poor communities, and we do. We've got clients we work with communities like Makoko, and we work with the Serpentine Galleries. It's probably also a public building, but in the heart of London. And the same, but the value system is across both projects. And it's how do you, first of all, understand what, history, how do you improve, give value to the people that you're working with, how do you think about materials, and how do you solve problems? Yeah.
I mean, I think one of the major criticisms leveled at the Makoko project after its demise had to do with the image of the second prototype sailing into Venice to receive kind of the accolades of the world's press, whilst the community for whom it had been built kind of walked away empty-handed. And in some senses, it's the bind of all projects of this nature, and I think it's one that a lot of architects struggle with. And how do you deal with it, or perhaps a better way to phrase it is, what would you do differently?
Yeah, it's a very interesting point that you think, that it's thought that the community walks empty-handed. I think the life of the project for about 3-4 years of being there, this is probably a question more to the community than to us, but I don't think they feel they walked out empty-handed. They've been given an important asset. The project has put them into a spotlight, which enables them have a certain amount of security and a certain amount of identity, and they feel more empowered, and they're now connected to a large network of resources. So Venice was really about Makoko. Venice was a project called the Waterfront Atlas, and if you read our point on Venice, it was really to bring the local knowledge of communities like Makoko to the world. And we're really trying to show that you can actually, even the average everyday people have talents and ingenuity that can be at the world stage. So we didn't win. For us, the Venice Silver Lion was to Makoko.
When it was finished and when it was kind of photographed and celebrated, there was very, very little kind of room for critical evaluation of it. And the fact that it sank, and I did want to ask you, did your heart sink when it sank? One of the things that has enabled people to do is to talk about it critically. And I think it's one of the things that we simply don't do enough of here, that projects are either accolades, kind of feted all around the world, or they're condemned. It's a really unique opportunity to learn from things. I can't remember who exactly said it, but you fail, you try, you fail, you try again, and the most important thing is that you try.
Right.
Not essentially that you succeed.
It was really a project that was about trying things, innovation. It had taken a lot of hits. It was damaged. We're working on making repairs, and we had decided, okay, we're going to bring it down anyway, and we're working on that. And it was poorly maintained. There are all kinds of texts of
To the story, yeah.
to the story. It's extremely complex. It's a project that is still working. It's still in its even in its collapse, it's expanding the discourse.
Yeah.
And the most important thing is that it enables people to continue to take action. And that's we're taking action, and we hope other people continue to do so. In fact, one of the findings that we came about is, of course, that nearly 70% of all the capital cities in Africa are by the waterfront. So by default, there are communities also settling along the waterfront. So that became a field of interest for us. The point of intersection of urbanization, cities growing and people moving towards the cities, and climate change. So for that reason, it's very, that's, people sort of come to us sometimes, like Michael for Chikoko Radio, he's, because it is a topical issue. It is a problem that people are encountering. And we sort of identified that already 4 years ago. But we're also thinking about projects, also looking for new environments, also trying to tackle things. So it's, we're proactive about finding new challenges.
I mean, my last question to you before we open it up to the audience is that, where do you go from here?
We're committed to developing cities and communities, and that's it sounds like a broad stroke, but it really is about taking very small steps that are from very basic and very, very, let's say, down-to-earth sources, and trying to develop new things. And we try, we do it once, we do it twice, we stay on it. We're absolutely relentless about innovation, about development, about change, about impact, and so we're just working hard, and we're producing new work. We're engaging new different communities, and I think expanding our network.